Déjeme preguntar, mami.
No, ¿el que te viste o el que te desviste?
No, es muy sensual.
Claro.
Is it the time to say goodbye?
No, we have 10 more.
Ya, carnal.
Tienes enojo, tienes rabia, tienes coraje. Mataste a tu hija. Yo te decía que me dieras un beso y no quería.
Sí, porque...
Quítate la camisa, Joaquín. Muchas gracias, caramba. ¿Qué tal,
You laugh at yourself?
Do I?
Are you shy, Sofía?
I'm shy, I am.
Para conquistar a tantas mujeres en tu vida, ¿qué hacías? Los expresidentes son como los jarritos chinos.
Están muy bonitos, pero ¿qué hago con ellos?
Oye, que tiene razón.
Algo. Esas son viejas. President.
Good morning.
Shalom.
Shalom.
How are you?
I'm fine. You speak Hebrew?
קצת.
קצת?
לא, אני שכחתי. לא, אני לא
איפה למדת? Where did you study?
האולפן, בקיבוץ.
איזה?
במזרח.
מזרח?
מזרח.
אתה שומר הצעיר?
25 years ago.
Fun?
25 years ago.
Before what, when you were a baby or what?
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Okay. The other one need to see.
Here.
תשים מורד, תשים את הנקים אחרי שאתה גומר את השירות הזה.
You came from Mexico?
I came from Mexico.
Straight?
All the way. Yeah. Well,
How long did it take you to fly?
I flew Mexico, New York for 4 hours, and then New York. Tel Aviv, it was 11 years.
So you must be exhausted.
No, I was here the day before yesterday, so I had time to. What about yourself? You never get tired.
I don't have time.
Neither do I. I was told you woke up this morning at 3 o'clock.
Right.
Every day is the same?
It's okay, yes. No, I have to write 2 speeches. One that I'm going to deliver for the Senate, and the other at the dinner of the president. So I didn't have time, so I woke up at 3 o'clock and I sat down and wrote the speeches. I didn't conclude yet.
Not yet? You didn't feel...
I still have
Do you
to...
rather work by night?
Pardon?
Do you rather work by night, like
No.
You,
I like to sleep at night, but if I don't, usually I wake up at 4 o'clock. That's my normal time.
That's your normal time.
Yes.
And you go to bed at what time?
Depends upon the events in the evening.
Okay.
When they are being concluded. Usually it may be 10, 11, 12, depends.
So you don't need more than 4 or 5 hours a day to sleep?
No, I take an hour off at lunch to break the day.
Power nap.
Yes.
Oh, power nap.
Yes.
Well, that's good. You look wonderful.
Thank you. You're very nice.
Really amazing. How you feel?
I feel great.
You feel like you look?
I don't know how I look, but I know I feel well.
Wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You have good friends in Mexico, no?
Yes. You want me to answer briefly or
Elaborate, whatever, how you feel
Okay,
like.
fine.
Do you have time?
I am a free man. I have time. Don't have any problem.
Yeah. Sort of.
I'm never in a hurry.
I love that. You are a free man.
That's right.
Since when you feel like a really free man?
And I didn't have another choice. But to be free. Yes.
That is a personal choice, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But it's not easy.
Yes, I mean, you have to make a choice
You have to
in
make
life.
a choice.
And since each of us has only 350 million moments to live, I thought not to waste it on pessimism, on bitterness. It's a waste of time.
It's a waste of time. But you've always been like this. You're very optimistic about...
Yes.
You've always been like this, or...
Yes, I always thought that every person has a greater potential than he thinks, but he's shy. And also he's not encouraged by the people around him, you know. Everybody tells, why do you do this and why you do that? And he loses a little bit his self-assurance.
Yes, of course. Mr. President, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
You were not born in Israel, but Israel was born with you. So I'm with the state of Israel in the flesh.
Welcome to the club.
Everybody says whenever you come to Israel, you don't want to go. You don't want to leave. You get addicted to this
well,
country.
you can stay here and we shall be pleased to have you.
Thank you so much, Mr. President.
Yes.
How do you feel? You look
I feel
wonderful.
fine.
I told you feel...
I feel fine, in a good physical shape. But my concerns are personal. I really leave more the nation than myself.
Than yourself. Which are your concerns about Israel right now? Which are your concerns about Israel right now?
I think Israel should make peace, should take the courage and decide it. Because, you know, the future is like a galloping horse. If it passes by in your window, better mount on the horse and gallop with him. Otherwise, the horse may gallop without you, and you will be left behind. I feel that the horse is near our window, and we have to mount and
Right
gallop.
now?
Yes.
Is it there now, or maybe it would just pass?
Better now. You know, the things I learned in my life. Don't postpone. Don't postpone.
No postergate.
No, you don't know. If you postpone something, in the hands of whom will it fall? Maybe not in the right hands, not at the right place. So, do right away.
What has been missing for Israel, for the region, for peace? What has been missing? I know you say to clap you need to have two hands. One hand is not enough to clap.
No, I think there are two hands. But it's very hard for both of them to clap, not only for one of them. Basically because there are several conflicts that arrived at the same time in the same place, the old and the new. The old, you know, Israel is a tiny little place. The holy city of Jerusalem, all told, is 2 square kilometers. That's it. And then they gave birth for 3 monotheistic religions. There's no other 2 kilometers in the world that created so much faith and so much contradictions.
For so many people.
For so many people on such a small, tiny piece of land. And it goes on already over 2,000 years. Then again, I think that today the great conflict has been the old world and the new one.
Mm-hmm.
We live in a new world with an old mind. The change took place when science took over land. We used to live on our land. We made our living from the land. We have to cultivate it. We have to defend it. And the land is not an easy customer, you know.
It is not, yeah.
It has droughts and storms and the terrible weather and the poor farmer that has a joint venture with the God in heaven cannot be sure that the other partner will really do whatever he should in his eyes.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So all the time, you know, people were trying to cultivate the land. It's hard to defend the land is dangerous. You needed borders, and you needed governments, and you needed armies to defend it, to extend it. The minute science took over land, everything has changed. Land you can conquer by armies. Science you cannot conquer by armies. Land has borders. Science doesn't have any borders. Land makes you take sides for or against.
Science.
Science is without sides. Land is predictable. Science never. And you cannot rest for a while, because while you are resting, the globalization, the scientific globalization moves on. And you're in a permanent competition. And if you are late, it's dangerous.
You stay behind.
Yes. So I mean, it's a new life. And the old history is irrelevant. They really don't have a role. And the new history is unknown. You have to guess, you have to predict, you have to take a risk. It's interesting, it's demanding, but you know, people prefer to remember rather than to think.
Yeah.
To remember things which are known, so used to it. And what you call remembering is actually forgetting. You remember only the nice things, you forget the others. While envisaging the future, you enter to an unknown quality and unknown quantity, and people are very worried what will happen to them in this new architecture, in these new surroundings. But, you know, the division today is not on the land, but a digital division. I mean, between the capacity to look at the future with new eyes, with new instruments. And the real division today is rather between an old generation and the young one, all over the world. The young people say to their parents, thank you for bringing us to life. But stop telling us about your great past. What you left us is not so great as you claim. You left us wars and hatred and suspicion and discrimination.
Mainly in this part of the world. Mainly in this part of the world.
All over the places. All over the places. All children all over the world. They won't have their own connections. They won't want that the mother or the father will have a look at their computer. They want to be free in their connections. Because today democracy is not just free expression, but rather self-expression. Free expression is an illusion. What are you taking a microphone and going and make speeches? Self-expression is a way to give a chance to your own inclinations, to your own preferences, to your own individuality. And also it has another meaning too, democracy in our time. It's no longer an attempt to be equal, but an equal right to be different.
Of course.
It's a concert of differences and not a camp of discipline. So many people are confused and they don't know what to do. And also, you know, it's made of a contradiction our time. On one hand, the world was never as global as today, on the one hand. On the other hand, it was never as individual as today. You know, our genome, our DNA, 99.02% all of us are alike.
But that little...
The difference is only 0.8. Now with this 0.8, you have 7 billion different fingerprints. You have 7 billion different faces. You have 7 billion different inclinations.
Mm-hmm.
Even, you know, cancer you discover is individual.
Of course.
So, and it's good that we have individuality, because otherwise the world would be a great boredom. If all of us would be alike, we would have nothing to talk
Very
about.
boring, of course.
If all of us would have the same eyes, we would see the same thing. But when you have 1,000 different eyes, some of them see things differently, or see things that you don't see, or hear voices that you don't hear. And this is actually what we call science.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to answer the two. A world without borders, and a person with specific inclinations.
But we're still thinking the way we used to think. That's the problem, maybe. No, we're living in the past, in a different reality.
I don't think so, because, you know, we are asking ourselves what makes us actually think. Because we have a problem with our brain. On one hand, the human brain is the most illustrious instrument that exists in the world. It enables you to create artificial brains, artificial intelligence. But it doesn't permit you to understand or to know what the brain decides and why does it decide. It's on your shoulders and surprises you.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't ask you. It makes you a stranger to yourself. For that reason now, the center of the scientific effort in the world is to enter the brain, to understand the way he takes decisions, the process of it. And then instead of being beggars of our refusing brain, we shall be choosers of the brilliance of our brain.
Mm-hmm.
And the minute we shall be choosers, then I'm sure a person will have to decide if he wants to be happy or unhappy. What will he decide? To be extreme or to be moderate? What will he decide? You know, I think actually that's the way civilization started. By a simple instrument, not a brain, but a mirror. Before we had a mirror, people wouldn't comb their hair, wouldn't cut their nails. You have a mirror. Everybody, every morning, washes without governments, without dictators, because they can see themselves.
Mm-hmm.
The minute we shall be able to understand ourselves, not only to see ourselves, the world will be different. We're already quite advanced in the research of the brain. And on our way to understand the brain, and by the way, the more we discover about the brain, the more we discover the depth of our ignorance.
Yeah.
There are so many things that we didn't know that we don't know. But also you learn things that are serving you.
But we've been discovering that, how ignorant we are.
Yes, but it enables us, for example, to overcome serious illnesses. We know how to overcome today schizophrenia, other illnesses. We know how to enter our body, we know how to enter our brain. And I think in 10 years' time you'll see a totally different world. It's already different. You know, 10 years ago, we thought that the greatest achievement is by miniaturizing things, what we call nanotechnology.
Nanotechnology.
Nano enables you to enter in places that were forbidden. You couldn't. Your instruments were too vulgar.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But you have a nano enter. So we thought that a great thing. Now, we went over to the other side. Not to look for miniaturization, but to look what people call augmentation. To enlarge, to enhance, to strengthen everything. Your body, your life, the things you use make it stronger, more reliable, and more flexible. And now we live in between those two poles, arriving at a point of minute, of nano, and flying to the skies of an unbelievable greatness. They are not contradictory, they are rather complementary.
Complementary.
It's fascinating.
When did you become so passionate about all these issues, of all these topics about nanotechnology, neuroscience?
From my early age.
Always.
No, I didn't study much. I was a member of a kibbutz. I was working in the kibbutz. My dream was to be a good member, a good farmer. I was a shepherd. And I enjoyed it very much. But then I was called before the war by Ben-Gurion. I was a 24-year-old boy. And when I came and the war started, Ben-Gurion showed me what we have, or rather what we don't have. And I thought, we are lost. We have nothing. I mean, Israel is a small land. They are 100 times the size of Mexico. Mexico is 100 times larger than Israel. Like 100 Mexicos, Israel. 1 of 100. The world wasn't, the land wasn't nice to us. Swamps in the north, deserts in the south. The only thing that was alive were mosquitoes in the north. The rest was dead. We didn't have water. We had 2 lakes. One dead, the other dying. We have one river, which is very famous, the Jordan River. But the river has more fame than water. So we had nothing. And then the environment was hostile. We were outmanned, outgunned. And I thought to myself, my God. And then I learned that the greatest potential and resource is the human being. Israel is a story of people, not of land. The land did not enrich the people enriched the land. And then I started to discover interest in the potential of human beings, of their mind, of their brain, of their brilliance. So I didn't study formally, but I was charged to do it at an early age. And then I learned there was one way really to achieve it. Not so much by learning, but by daring. Don't be afraid to encounter the new, the unknown, because they are pregnant with potentials that you are not aware of. So I did it from my very first day. Ben-Gurion was the Prime Minister, the Minister of Defense.
How did you meet? How did he call you? How did you meet?
Well, to make
the story short,
a brief story, there was I admired Ben-Gurion without meeting him. I read his articles, I listened to his speeches. I thought, my God, here is a man that tells the truth. That has the courage to see things as they are, that has the vision to see things as they should be. And what I liked tremendously about him, that with all his genius and talents, he remained an innocent person. And I joined in the youth movement, which was against Ben-Gurion.
Against him?
Against him. We were at the Secretariat, 12 members. 10 were against him, 2 were for him. I was one of them.
One of those.
And one day there was a conference of the movement, and I won the majority. Nobody knew who I am and where did I arrive. It was a sensation. Ben-Gurion didn't know. One day he told me, I would like to meet you. And he says, look, I'm going from Tel Aviv to Haifa. Come with me, we shall have a chance to chat, to converse. Clearly I was happy, I mean,
Wow.
for me it was the legendary person. It was a winterly day. I came into his car. He came in too, put on his coat, turned his back to me and fall asleep. Oh,
No. No.
Oh my God. I was angry, you know. But when we came nearby, Haifa, all of a sudden he woke up. He looked at me. He says, you know, Trotsky wasn't a great leader. How did Trotsky enter the car? I didn't have the slightest idea. But I was interested to develop a sort of a conversation. So I asked him, why? He says, what sort of a leader was he? No peace, no war. This is a Jewish invention. A leader must decide either war and take the risk, or peace and pay the price. And he says, Lenin, who was intellectually inferior to Trotsky, became the leader. That was the conversation. He fell again into sleep. So that was my first encounter. And I forgot about it. But a couple of years later, he sent a letter to my kibbutz. And he says, I would like that among the different branches of your economy, work, add the branch of security. And I would like that you will send Shimon to work with me at the headquarters. It was a year before the War of Independence in 1947. I was an ignorant boy. I came into the headquarters. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what was my job, where I'm going to sit. But Ben-Gurion saw me. He took out a list from his pocket. He showed me the list of our arms. He says, we don't have arms, we don't have ammunition. We may lose it. And he says, work on it.
That was going to be your job, work on it.
No, not specifically. But still, you know, I didn't have even a desk to sit. So the secretary of the headquarters, it was still an illegal organization, the Haganah, before we had an army. The secretary was a good friend of mine. Says, look, I can't find you a desk. But you know what he said? The chief of staff is sick. So his desk is free. Why wouldn't you take?
Go work there.
Okay, I sat down. I opened the desk and I found 2 letters without an address. So I thought I opened to see what it's about. I opened the letter, I was shocked.
What was it?
That was a letter of a general who sent to Ben-Gurion a reply to his suggestion. Ben-Gurion suggested to this general to be the chief of staff. So the general wrote to Ben-Gurion and says, thank you for your trust. I took it seriously. I checked what we have. I found out that we have ammunition only for 7 days of war. I don't want to be a chief of staff for 7 days. I was shocked. And then I started to work, since I was healthy and young. I worked day and night. I didn't need almost sleep. It didn't take a long time, and everybody came to suggest, to ask. And what I thought will be a short duty put me in, and then Ben-Gurion nominated me as his number 2 when I was still a very young man. And he backed me like nobody else. He was attacked. He says, why do you nominate this boy? He's a nobody. He's ignorant.
Okay.
He's a kibbutznik.
Where did he come from?
But he says, yes. A friend of mine, a journalist, told me that he went to Ben Gurion to complain about my nomination. We will ask him, do you know him well? He said yes.
Oh.
He says, I don't know. I'll tell you what I know about him. If he will knock on my door and enter, I'm sure about three things. A, he will never ask anything for himself. B, he will never smear somebody else. 3, he wouldn't knock on the door if he wouldn't have any idea.
Ah.
For me, it's enough, he said.
Ah.
And he really gave me an unbelievable chance. And I used it. I have enough chutzpah.
The chutzpah.
Yes. And I wasn't afraid. And Ben Gurion would let me fly. That's the story.
And you flew high, very high.
Yes.
Very high.
You know, one of my friends, whom I met later on, was André Malraux in France. He was a pilot. And he said, mothers, that their sons are pilots, are praying that the son will fly low and slow. They don't know that to fly high and fast is better, is safer. And I thought, there's truth to it. Fly high and fast. Because if you do it slow and low, you'll be in danger.
When you look back, now that we were talking about Ben Gurion, have you ever imagined, have you ever thought, what would Ben Gurion think of Israel 2013?
First of all, I don't look back. I think it's a waste of time. All the time I look forward. And I'm sure Ben Gurion would tell me, look ahead. The world is changing, it's a new world, leave history for the others. And I know he wouldn't hesitate to see things as they are, and he wouldn't be reluctant to change Israel accordingly. I know, there is one point of philosophy that Ben Gurion will never depart. He thought that the uniqueness of the Jewish people is the preference of the moral call for moral attractions, strength, wealth, a good life. He thought that the wisest thing is to be a moral person, an honest person. Never give up. It is costly, but it is right. And in every situation, he would first of all start by the moral judgment. And that's what I learned from him. There was nothing wiser than to be an honest man. And don't be afraid to be honest. And don't have self-pity if people criticize you. And then early in my life I made a strategic decision that I shall decide who insults me. Not everybody can do it, because otherwise they'll kill me. So I made a selective group of people
that can do that.
That I would listen to them. And
who are they?
Well, I wouldn't like to make names. But
it's your inner circle, I guess, isn't it?
Yes, dear friends, authors, poets, other people.
That you trust, that
yes,
you admire.
I felt that we are the same boat.
Okay.
And we are sailing the same sea. So, and that's what I did. It's costly from time to time. It's even painful. So maybe I have things that made me sorry, but I don't have regrets.
No regrets whatsoever.
No regrets, because you cannot correct regrets. It's a waste of time.
What has made you sorry? If you can...
If I insult somebody, for example, you know, before I go to sleep, I try to remember whom did I insult, what did I do wrong, to remember the next day to find a way to correct it. Then when I wake up in the morning, I try to remember what did I dream in the night, and then take the dreams and go with them.
Mm-hmm.
So I have my own order of the day.
Now, something you learned, I guess, also from Ben Gurion, now that you just said, never give up. And that has been your motto too.
Oh, no,
because
no.
your life has been with, bright and shades like everybody else's. And there's also failure in the way. So you never give up. You never give.
You know, the Lord permitted us to make some failures, to make some mistakes. Very nice of him. And we have to take advantage of it from time to time. So there's nothing wrong with it. But don't take a failure as a surrender. You fail, you can stop again, wake again, and go on.
You never said enough. You didn't win an election.
Why should
and
I
then
say?
won another one. You never said, yeah, enough.
Is there something like enough in the world?
No.
So why should I take it?
Well, maybe enough politics, enough public service.
No, I don't know what is politics. You know, politics is not a vocation. It's not a profession. It's a human behavior. And politics has a task to save the life of other people. This is, in my judgment, the real meaning of politics. And I think people now, young people, who wants to be leaders, are thinking that to lead is a matter of power. They don't understand that to lead is not to rule, but to serve. And many of them are mistaken, because today when a politician wakes up, he says, I'm great, I'm strong.
Powerful.
Powerful. They say, are you? Can you bring an end to the deficit? No. Can you bring an end to terror? No. So what makes you think that you are so great and so powerful? And many of the poor politicians are going to television. Maybe the people will fall in love with them. But when you make television the arena of democracy, the ones who succeed are the ones who are good on television, but not necessarily in leadership. And then they miss the boat. You know, the story I love is about a young boy that falls madly in love with a girl. And he wrote her every day a love letter. The result, she married the mailman. Be careful with love letters.
Be careful with love letters.
Yes.
Beautiful story.
Yes.
Beautiful story. But you were also young. So, and you felt powerful also, and you felt...
No, I felt that I am giving a chance to serve other people. Basically, I love people. For me, people are not a burden. For me, people are an occasion, an opportunity. And, you know, from time to time, I ask you, how would you like to be remembered? I don't work to be remembered. But personally, if I can remember that I saved the life of one child, this will be for me a great achievement, more than anything else.
You don't care about legacy. I mean...
I prefer the future rather than the legacy. I prefer to think what to do tomorrow instead of remembering what did I do yesterday. It's unimportant. The past is basically dead, and you cannot have a dialogue at a cemetery. Better look ahead as the changes, as the challenges, as people are going, because I'm an optimist. I'm an optimist because history is optimistic. History all the time moves ahead. It doesn't have any reverse. I don't know any person that would like to return to the caves or would like to live without antibiotics, for example. Imagine a king that has a teeth egg 300 years ago. He was crying like a baby. We are better off. He didn't have running waters. He didn't have a telephone.
There is no better time than our time, than the present.
No better time, but not good enough like tomorrow.
Like tomorrow. The best is still to come.
So I think history is not based on repetition, but on mutation, on changing, and all the time in one direction.
What is concerning you right now? Iran, for example.
Iran is concerning me, but I don't think they have a future, because they don't have a message. People who want to hurt other people create enemies. You know, animosity is the most expensive thing in life. You pay and pay and pay and pay until you go bankrupt. I think, for example, America became great by giving, not by taking.
Mainly the United States.
I'm talking about the United States. Yes. And I think by creating friends pays off more by creating enemies. And I think that giving, again, is wiser than taking. Because when you take, there is no end to your appetite. When you give, you feel that you are generous enough or not enough, that you want to be as generous as you can. And then you create trust and even love. But truth and peace and love are not necessarily beautiful. They are complicated.
Very complicated.
Yes. Because, you know, why is it so difficult, for example, to achieve peace? Because your people say, first of all, you start with your people. So yes, we are for peace. Yes, we are ready to pay the price. But why are you paying so much? You don't know how to negotiate.
Greediness.
Yes. Why are you trusting them so much? You shouldn't trust them. You don't know how to negotiate. It's very hard to measure trust. It's hard to measure what is giving and taking. And I can say with a sense of humor that there are two things in life that you cannot achieve unless you close a little bit your eyes. And
love.
Love and peace.
Yeah, sure. But who's not willing to close their eyes? Both sides?
Finally, there are instincts too. It's an illusion to think that leaders decide realities.
No, reality decides.
It is realities that forces people. When the sun shines very strong, you close your eyes. For example, you can't stand too much light. So there are instincts too in life that balances you. And you have to have the courage and understanding that perfection doesn't exist. What exists is an attempt to be perfect, but it's not achieved. The sheer effect, the sheer desire to be perfect is perfection.
Okay. Now, is peace an illusion? Is it an utopia? Or is it achievable?
No. It's not an utopia, I'll tell you. There is no need to sacrifice your life. There is need to improve it. And for that you don't need rifles or swords. You need knowledge and you need hope.
But Mr. President, nobody is getting to understand that.
I think there are many people who do. Today, clearly. You know, today they say there are no great leaders. Well, it's not because there are no great people. It is because great leaders are not necessary. What is necessary is great service. And in my eyes, a great leader is a great servant, not a great ruler.
Are you still friends with Bill Clinton?
Oh, very much. We are very good friends.
I know.
I have the highest admiration for him. I think he's a special human being. He went through a terrible life at the beginning. And he has a rare combination of an intellectual depth and a personal charm.
Yeah, he's very charming.
Oh, yes, and he is really a man of people. He really means well. And he started from nowhere.
What do you think of Hillary? Do you think she will be the first Madam President of the United States?
I can't guess about
I know, but
elections.
If you have to bet.
No, I think she's a worthwhile candidate. But I cannot forecast and I cannot take sides on it. But I have the highest respect. She is a very disciplined, intellectual human being. She's sharp. She's quick. Her grasp is wide. And her heart still is on the right place.
I know we're running out of time. Just let me ask about Mexico, that you're going to be in Mexico for the next days.
That I shall tell you after I shall return from Mexico. Not before I go there.
How's the kibbutz nowadays? It's different now.
The kibbutz has had to adapt itself to the new age. So it's not the same as it used to be. But still, it is the most just society that exists in the world.
In the world. Can we walk a little and go out? Yes?
Why not?
Is that okay with you?
I can show you our garden.
Yeah, show me. You are the perfect mix between tradition and modernity. When I see you, that's what I see, tradition and modernity. You're a visionary.
Well, I cannot get rid of my past,
Yeah, of course.
but I don't have time to spend on it. Rather prefer.
Are you afraid of anything? Nothing.
I'm afraid only of the mistakes I keep to make. But I have the right to make mistakes, as I told you.
Which would you say would be the greatest mistake during all this?
I mean, the opposition spends so much time on it, I don't see it. To repeat it. Ask them, they'll tell you.
But now you are so loved by the people. You said, I love the people, and people love you so much.
It took time, you
It
know.
took time. It
because
wasn't
at
like
the
this all
beginning,
the time.
I think many people thought I'm ahead of time.
Do you remember how I told you?
No, I should be delighted with him in my mind.
Thank you very much.
This is, I think, done by the Pope or by Obama.
President Obama.
Obama, he brought it free from the United States. And that is the Pope.
Uh-huh. And Hollande was here Sunday.
Yes, and
no?
Hollande, yes. We
Because
planted
his
the
son-
tree too.
Well, that's
Yeah.
his, I guess. There's more ones.
Yes,
No?
that's
Yes.
right.
Yes.
And I shall
Do
show
you
you.
think Israel has been moving to the right after
Who?
9/11? Israel has been moving a little to the
I
left.
think there is right and left. It's an old division. And then what is Gates? A capitalist is a capitalist. I'm not going to give that for that. Now look, this is a special tree. See, it says 1 franc. And olives on one side
Aye, wow.
and figs on the other side. Now, if you have a desire, okay,
Yeah.
that's
Shall I
nice.
do it now?
Do it in your house and I'll show you if you come to. Give.
I did. Thank you very much.
Okay. You go back. Whatever you want.
Wherever.
You want to go a little bit more?
Yeah, sure. Can you?
I enjoy fresh air.
The
Most of the
sun
garden,
is beautiful.
most of the garden is made of biblical or Mediterranean trees, olives. Olives is the symbol of this.
Yeah, I know. Are you gonna
And
Are
there
you
is-
gonna live enough to see peace in your country? In the country?
Yes, I think so.
Yes.
Yes. First of all, I'm not in a hurry to die.
See, I adore you. I'm your fan. I was your fan already, but now I'm much more your fan.
Thank you.
You're not in a hurry, so.
No, no. I think it will come.
Yeah, soon?
Yes.
Sooner
Okay.
than later?
Yes, I think so. The reality is neither side. There are some guys, and people are protesting all the time because of the unemployment, because of some Western technology.
Well, you have a problem here in Israel between religious and non-religious persons. Do you think this can go?
There's, I admire the new pope. Religion is less of the church and more of the spirit. And I admire the new pope. It actually says religion is a spirit, not an administration. I think he introduced freshness in the concept of religion. So if you look upon religion as a department of power, so to speak. But if you look at religion as a union of the heart and the soul.
So you are a religious person.
First of all, I think it's living. It is not made of flesh and that cannot be touched or pressed. But it really hides in your heart as a conscious mind. I think that's right.
The best way to do it.